Coming up this week, should we change the lyrics to our national anthem? Also, we ask you about transporting alcohol across provincial borders. This and much more to come. Hitting the streets, this is Outburst. Hello and welcome to Outburst. I'm Glenn McGuinness. Well, the Liberals are fast-tracking legislation that would change the wording to our national anthem. A bill put forward by MP Muril Belanger will change the wording of O Canada from In All Thy Sons Command to In All of Us Command to reflect gender neutrality. Some are applauding the move, while others feel it's fine just the way it is. So what tune are you singing? Our question. Should the lyrics to O Canada be changed to become more gender neutral?
I don't think so. I think that's part of a heritage piece. I think that's like because of kind of the cutting of the cloth and how we are today. Like I think it should stay the same. I think it should be something that is discussed, and I do enjoy that it is being discussed now.
I think it's okay so far, but that would be nice to just include everyone, because everyone's Canadian if they're gay, straight, female, male.
I'm open to change. I think it would probably in another 50 years from now, it won't even be an issue. It will be something that they'll be looking back at history and talking about how this was changed, because I do think it will eventually change.
No, they've been fine for however long that they've been in place, and I don't think we need to change them for any political correctness reasons.
No, definitely not. No, not at all.
I don't think so. I understand the idea of wanting it to be more gender neutral for nowadays, but I think it should still be the same as what we've grown up with, and I don't think they should change it.
I don't see the need to change it. It doesn't make a difference. No, not at all.
I don't think so. I like it the way it is. Certain institutions, Canada was built on certain beliefs, certain actions, certain governments being formed, etc. At times you just have to respect the history of what made this country great.
I don't know. Who's thy sons? I don't even know who thy is. So I don't know. It's a short answer. But if should it be changed? Probably not, because it's our national anthem. But they've already changed it before, so they can probably change it again without any problem. I mean, they changed it. Geez, I forget the old way. So it can be changed, yeah. If it would be more palatable, sure, change it.
As a ex-military man, no. I think that the way it is fine. I don't see the significance behind changing it, and I don't know why they want to change it. But no, I think it's better to have it the way it is. At least it's something that we be proud of, eh? And I guess I had mixed reactions when they changed the flag, to the maple leaf on it. I had mixed reactions about that at the time too. But we're still Canadians, eh? Notice they, eh?
I think if you look at it or think about it just in isolation, then I can understand that there would be some questions about it. But if you put it in context of the entire song with all of the lyrics, then it's a very reasonable, and I don't think there's anything very sensitive about it.
I really don't think that's such a big issue. Why should we spend time on that? I think there are much bigger issues we should be focusing our time and our politicians on.
Yes, I believe they should, because that's the way the country is. We are gender neutral. Things have changed. Times have changed. We wrote things long ago that were written for that time and don't necessarily have the same meaning or connotation now.
We're from the older generation, and that's the way we sang it, and that's the way it is, but it could be changed if that's what the people want. But I know the way things are today, everybody wants a little bit of this and that to be changed, right? But in my eyes, it's perfect.
Well, my heart says one thing and my head says another. And I think because it is 2016, my head tells me yes. the lyrics should be changed to reflect more equity. On the other hand, my heart says this has been our national anthem for, I don't know, more than 100 years now, and maybe we shouldn't tamper with it. There were things that Shakespeare wrote that are seen as objectionable today, but very few people would suggest that they be changed. So I'm really split on the issue. My heart tells me one thing, keep it as it is. My head tells me maybe it's time to change for reasons of equity.
You know, when they created the lyrics, I don't think that they meant to be, excluding anybody. I think it's a well-intentioned song, and I don't think it needs to be changed. So,
in my opinion, no. I just think we should leave a lot of things that historically have been there the same. I think we get hung up too frequently in this drive to achieve maximum equality, and I don't support it.
I'm an American. I moved here. I think Canada is one of the most inclusive places I've ever been. Lyrics don't mean a thing to me. It's what goes on in the street. And from what I've seen, Canada doesn't have to worry about gender neutrality. It's the most open, giving country I've ever lived in. So I think it's kind of putting the wrong emphasis on things. I don't think gender neutrality is going to make anybody more open-minded. Let the lyrics follow the behavior.
I think we should be more gender neutral because it's women and men share this place, and history does include women as well.
I think that we should keep them as they are. I think that in society we can live gender neutral, but that's a big part of our history, and I'd like to see it stay the way it is.
Well, in my opinion, I believe that this is obviously an important issue because for so long this has been part of our national integrity. Definitely, because for years this has been our national pride. What we've said every morning in schools and in government. So I believe possibly this could be a very good sign because I'm for progressive modernism. Hopefully, so I believe that this is definitely an issue that has to go through the government. Obviously, it's what there is in their best interest, and I believe they'll make the best decision. In my opinion, I believe possibly we could keep it because we've had it for so long, but definitely I'm glad that we're making strides in gender equality, definitely. I think it's a great issue that we're talking about.
Well, we're from the UK. I think this gender business is completely over the top. I don't think it matters at all.
If you listen to the lyrics of God Save the Queen, the second verse is actually quite military. And we don't want to change that either. I suppose we're traditionalists, really, is what we're saying. And our granddaughter, who is now 6, sings "O Canada" to us, and we think the words are just great. I don't think it needs a change at all.
How many provinces were the first to join Confederation in 1867? 4, 5, or 6?
4?
6.
4.
6.
I'm going to say 5.
I'd probably say 4, yeah.
4.
It's 4.
Do we win a prize?
Originally, just 4 provinces joined Confederation: Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Ontario, and Quebec. There are now 10 provinces and 3 territories in Canada. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper called the law ridiculous. The current government supports loosening restrictions. Transporting alcohol between provincial borders can be a touchy situation. The New Brunswick Liquor Control Act states residents can possess no more than 12 bottles of beer from another province. One New Brunswick man faced a hefty fine for breaking that law. The laws vary from province to province, and not all are on the same page. So what do you think? Our question: should the limits be removed on alcohol crossing provincial borders?
Yes, that's a very simple question. It's kind of silly that a business here can't bring wine from Nova Scotia or the reverse way. It's costing a lot of money, and I think it'll produce more jobs for sure, too.
You heard about the case, the guy in New Brunswick?
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
It's ridiculous. It's kind of, I'm going to bring in something even a touch different, the pot busting here. They're wasting a lot of energy on things that don't necessarily need enforcement, whether it's the crossing of the borders with alcohol or the pot dispensaries.
Absolutely. We don't put barriers up for screwdrivers that are made in Alberta that are sold in Nova Scotia. So I don't see any reason why British Columbia wines especially, which are just outstanding wines, shouldn't be more widely available in Ontario and elsewhere in Canada. So yes, absolutely.
Canada's Canada. You should be able to get it anywhere in Canada. I think they should change it.
Absolutely. Because it's all about taxes. One province wants to make sure they get the tax. They want you to buy in their province, not bring it in. That's it. Simple. There's no other reason for them not to allow it.
We can bring in more from other countries than we can move across the province, which isn't reasonable.
I just think that provincial control of alcohol is wrong. People can make decisions on their own. They don't need provincial governments. I think provincial governments are far too intrusive as it is. City, provincial, and I don't even like it at a federal level, quite frankly. Alcohol doesn't need to be regulated. Adults are adults.
I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Like, really, province to province? I don't know. I guess I think they should be lifted. Yeah.
So bans should be lifted?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think they can be. It's nice to be able to have different types of products, and some provinces are better at making beer and wine. So, yeah, I do think you should be able to get across the border.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an archaic law and prohibits good business practices.
I think it should be consistent right across the board. I think, within Canada, we all live in the same country, so I don't think there should be any restrictions either way. So,
that also seems outdated, that we can't bring liquor across. It's almost considered bootlegging to bring it from, from BC to Alberta or vice versa or anything like that.
Absolutely. I think that's a silly law.
Yes, I think those are quite dated, and I don't understand the value of it.
Absolutely. The absence of free trade, meaning the presence of interprovincial barriers to trade, are reducing our growth and increasing our unemployment unnecessarily.
Which province is nicknamed the Garden of the Gulf? Saskatchewan, Prince Edward Island, or Nova Scotia?
I'd go for Saskatchewan just because it doesn't make sense. The other one are both on the Gulf, so Saskatchewan.
The Garden of the Gulf. I'd assume it's Nova Scotia or PEI, but
Nova Scotia.
Sure, Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia.
Prince Edward Island.
I've never heard Saskatchewan referred to as a garden of anything, so I'm going to guess Prince Edward Island.
Absolutely correct.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay.
Nestled in the middle of the Gulf of St. Lawrence, PEI is also known as the Garden of the Gulf. Decorum in Parliament is something that seems to come up quite often. The most recent incident, coined Elbowgate, where the Prime Minister accidentally elbowed an opposition MP in the chest, is one example of how tense things can get in the House of Commons. We took to the streets to ask Canadians what they think about the matter. Our question: what is your opinion on decorum in the House of Commons?
More recently with our PM's recent events, you know what, and I'm conservative, so, but I have to say, the fact that he was very apologetic about that. I think as Canadians, we're gracious people, and people have been sort of forgiving around that, and I don't think it was a deliberate attempt in any way to, when there's some manhandling going on, so yeah.
I think things happen. I think people get worked up. I think that what happened recently with Justin Trudeau should be looked at in terms of what happened, not just his actions, but what happened to necessitate or what transpired before that actually happened. I don't think it's great that it happened, but at the same time, I think it's something that we need to take a closer look at in terms of the other parties' response or what they were trying to block at the time of the actual occurrence.
Well,
I think what happened a couple of weeks ago, it was kind of pointed out that that was a game that they were performing, to block the government whip and the opposition whip, leader of the opposition whip, from taking their seat so House could start. I think that it was overplayed, but I do think they should be a little bit more, civilized, in regards to. I noticed when they show the British House of Commons on your station, they seem to be a little more subdued in regards to when the Prime Minister or different ones are speaking. They get their chance to make their comments.
I think it was purely an accident, and that Trudeau was actually trying to be courteous at the time.
I think that what's happened recently is overblown. I think that they're behaving themselves fairly well. That was an unfortunate but I think isolated incident.
I feel sorry for Prime Minister Trudeau, who obviously was very exasperated by the dysfunctional behavior that's going on there. And I hope that we can improve on that and not fall into the cesspool of bad behavior that we see in other countries. We should set an example to other countries.
Well, I think there needs to be decorum. I mean, they are our representatives, and you would want things to be, fairly civil. And even though things get heated at times and things happen, I mean, we're all human, and so that's, I think, the point where, you could say, well, somebody gets a little out of hand or whatever, because when you're passionate, sometimes it just happens. But I think if somebody's being completely mean-spirited about something and just has that real intention, then that's terrible. But i.e. Trump. But I think for the most part everybody knows how to behave, and then sometimes people do it just because they like to bring the drama, and it creates talk. I mean, like the whole Justin with the elbow thing, all of that it certainly drummed up a lot of talk. And for the most part, I just ignore all that stuff. And as long as they're getting the job done and, and getting done what they're getting paid to do, then it's all good.
Oh, well, no, I think they should be, a little bit more civilized. But sometimes you see the European people, they go, fisticuffs come out. So, but I understand politics can get very emotional. So people, react in different ways. I think they should be a little bit more prime ministerial, but it's been going on for a long time, I think, too. And I guess this incident with Justin, it came to the forefront.
So in the UK, there's a lot of barracking and stuff like that, which is all very childish, but they seem to get away with it, which doesn't really set a good example to anybody else.
No, I agree. I think they need to grow up. It's very childish, not as bad as in some countries, but it hasn't come to fisticuffs yet. But if you listen to it, and you can watch it now on television in the UK, as you probably can here, it's nothing to be proud of. That's how I feel about it anyway. It needs to be, they need to up their game.
I don't know. I hope the politicians, the MPs improve and start to recognize that respect is required. Just like I'm required to show respect to my coworkers, they should really show the same level of respect and constraint in the House of Commons.
It's no surprise the economy and jobs are an important priority for any government. Canada's unemployment rate currently sits at 7.1%, but times have been tough, especially in the energy sector. So, in somewhat challenging economic times, what is the best way to get more Canadians working? Our question. What is the most effective way to create more jobs in Canada?
The world right now is going through a kind of economic downturn. It's not just only Canada. It's everywhere. And it's a tough environment for business and for families and everyone. It's a tough environment. And that is compounded with the fire incident we have at Fort McMurray. But it's just a phase. It's going to come and go. So we keep hoping for the best.
Let's take a good hard look at what we need. You know, we need food. We need a supply chain. We need to be more self-sufficient. I think ourselves, whatever, as opposed to looking outside our country for economic prosperity, whatever. I think we need to look more in-house and do what we can to self-sustain ourselves. I believe is a better course of action than to maybe look at exports. Although exports is a big part of our economy, that has to be balanced as well at the same time.
I think definitely just looking at what the bottom line is, there's a lot of people who are homeless today, whether it be in a metropolitan city or in the rural areas. I think you're really investigating in what is their socioeconomic status in first place and like what are their educational values. Like being an educator myself, I think that teachers as well as like all the educators out there are really making a huge impact, but the government needs to step into place to really examine like using these scores and all this data, like how can we actually impact the most with all those individuals that suffer from a lot of social welfare and a lot of poverty as well. So I think definitely education is the basis of all of it, and we'll see what happens in the next 10 years.
Build a pipeline. It's the right thing to do. And let's get rid of the red tape that exists in this country.
What's the most effective way? Get government out of the way, build pipelines. I would say a huge opportunity here for the whole continent is natural gas, because you can use natural gas to have fleets, commercial fleets, drive cheaper, clean, safe, totally great. And the prosperity that would ensue by doing that, the jobs that would be formed, building the infrastructure for a natural gas-based economy would be enormous. That'd be easy, simple.
Make post-secondary education cheaper. That is the biggest thing. If it wasn't so expensive, I think that we would have better jobs.
Fully agree with that. Absolutely. Right now, post-secondary is incredibly expensive, whether you're at college or university, and I feel like that turns a lot of people off from wanting to go to post-secondary for jobs. But I think if they lower the cost, I feel like it would open more doors and more opportunities for everyone who wants to have a job but can't afford it.
Reduce tariff barriers, reduce government spending that crowds out the ability of the private sector to hire more people.
Build pipelines. That's east, west, north, south. Pipelines are the key to the Canadian economy for the foreseeable future.
Maybe to increase like tax breaks and subsidies for companies that create more jobs. Maybe look at industries that are hurting for jobs and try to promote them a bit more.
Take the focus off oil and gas and let's focus on the future and what we can make and create for the future. Let's remember why we don't want to use oil and gas. This is our home. This is our planet. We should go environmentally green for sure. And so our focus just needs to shift, in my opinion.
I think it requires creative thinking and a little bit of risk-taking. In fact, a lot of risk-taking and support for that.
So when you say risk-taking, what would you say? Like, what, do you have something in mind?
Just people being open to new ideas, being a little more open to financing new ideas, providing seed money, so taking some risks that more traditional, right? So being open to new ideas, so allow out-of-the-box thinking.
Be more diverse in what we have, being with pipelines, with all the provinces agreeing and moving our items within our country, never mind outside of the country.
We should minimize government regulations. We should be careful about how much tax we exact from Canadians, and Canadians, me included, should be careful about how many services we ask for government to provide, because that's what leads to high taxation and high deficits.
Companies need to put more money into training new employees, because what they're trying to find employees that have all the experience that they need straight away. And, well, if they're looking for new employees like straight out of university or something, they're probably not going to find exactly the right fit. So they try to find people with this, but often they cannot, and often they even try and find people in other countries to replace people that are already here, just because they don't want to pay for this training.
I'll say this. I think people exaggerate the ability of a politician to do that, a prime minister or a president. They're only dealing in macroeconomics. Job creation is very complex, and most of it's done by businesses. And there are some spin-offs from government spending. Certainly, I think Keynesianism has been accepted by conservatives and liberals as a way to stimulate the economy and create jobs. But people have a overblown picture of, I think, what a government can do. So you just deal with the big picture and the global macroeconomics, and give people opportunity. You can't push a string, as the economists say. So sometimes it's a matter of giving people scope and the opportunity to create. I'm self-employed, for instance. I created my own business, so I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship.
I think you're right about the encouraging more trades and college programs and things with, I know from high school we were all encouraged to go to a university program because it looks good on the high school stats, and we weren't getting, hands-on training. But it's really hard to know when you're 17 years old, when you're applying for school, what you want to do. You need that time to grow up as well. And then I went back to college after university and got training and hands-on experience in my field. So I think making that more okay and encouraging more stability rather than, everyone wants to have their dream job and I think I'm coming for more a realistic aspect, where can you find stability and make that work for you and enjoy what you're doing.
How many U.S. states border Manitoba? 2, 3, or 4?
2. 3? I'll go with her 3. I don't know geography at all, so 3.
2. 3.
Oh my, I think it's 2.
It is 2.
Oh, yes! Awesome. Well, thank
you did well. 2 U.S. states border Manitoba, North Dakota, and Minnesota. That's all for this episode of Outburst. Just a reminder, don't forget to check out our new cpac TV To Go app and our cpac Quiz Canada Trivia app. For more information, check our website, www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.